I will have to say, Pat, I am sorry. I am going to pick apart your panels just slightly, but I do think that your panels, you might need to make some new ones. And this is strictly due to the color combinations going on here. It's very difficult to read the word. I'm gonna use you as a guinea pig for this graphic design example that I'm gonna give. And it happens to all of us. Like, so here's your panel, right? And in color theory, there's a concept called color values. And what color values refers to is the brightness and darkness of the colors that are chosen. The further down you go, the darker the color is, and the further up you go, the brighter the color is. That is what the color value means. The issue that we run into is when the values of the colors, all the colors, are very similar. So when the color values of the text and the background are too similar, you can't read the text. And the way you can check this is if you put a black and white filter on it. So if we just desaturate this all the way, and now it is black and white, right? When you take a look at this now, Pat, you can now see when it's black and white that it is very difficult to read the text socials on top of the colorful galaxy that's going on. And that's because the brightness and darkness levels of both the text and the background are very similar. But we can notice here that where the center of the galaxy is darker, the text stands out better. And that's because this color here is much darker than the letter A and the letter I. But in these sections of the swirls, which are the blue sections, the brightness of the blues were very similar to the brightness of the reds in your text. So it doubles up very similarly, and that's why it's difficult to read it. And this is just a concept that if you don't have any prior knowledge of color theory, which most people don't beat yourself up over it. Most people do not understand these concepts because this is just a technical art concept that unless you either create a lot of art or have studied art, this is not something that is taught to the general public. So what would make this easier to read is, for instance, I'm just going to crop this a little bit so I can grab just the galaxy itself, and we can kind of work off of this a little bit. I know it's a little bit blurry, but we're just trying here a little bit. But what would make this work better is if, for instance, we did just a white font. Now, if you see here, and I make the text white like this, and then now here, if I merge everything together, desaturate it, now you can see how the text that says socials stands out very greatly against the background. And again, this is because the lightness of the letter socials is as light as you possibly can make it. It is white. And the background colors are more darker, so the text shows up really easily. And if you do have an attachment to the red, for instance, like you really want to use the red, let's just color select the red here. And I'm just using a different font. This was the default font. You can add an outline to the text, maybe something like this, a light colored outline. And then that will make the text stand out against the background because now there's like a light color barrier outlining all the text. Those are two ways you can adjust your panels to go and make the text easier to see. You can do this on Canva. So if you were to do this on Canva, so I grabbed some random galaxy. If we're gonna add a font here, like let's say this is the socials, we're gonna make this bigger. But if you want to use, for instance, like a red color like this, if we go under effects, you click the splice effect. Now it does this weird splicing thing, right? So for this color, this one, we're actually gonna make the red, and then the text color, we're gonna make the white. So now we have the outline. And then under effects, for the direction of the splice, keep the direction at 0 and then the offsets at 0. And then now it makes an outline text for you. And then here you can also adjust the thickness of the text. So just slide that down a little bit or slide it up. I don't recommend making it too thin, otherwise it's still not really, make it a little bit thicker so it's actually visible. Something like this, and then now you can add a white outline on text in Canva. Yeah, it doesn't have to just be an outline too, like there's other things you can do as well. You know, you can add a background box behind it, or, you know, you can do like a rectangle, position backwards, make it a little bit transparent, this is an option to make the text show up better. Another thing too, instead of just doing like a random background, you can kind of build it in a little bit more into the panel itself. So you can add something like, let's see if they have any, oh, wait, they have some graphics here, right? So there's this like paper rip graphic. So you can use some like graphic or something to go and kind of break this apart a little bit. And then one other thing in terms of designs, you don't want to really use too many colors, and things will look nicer if you use a color that already exists in the color palette. So with a galaxy background, there's already purple, there's already pink, and there's already blue in the background colors. So if you make the text color one of those colors in the background, and in Canva, they already have a photo color option, you can select one of the colors from the photos. So if you use like the colors from the background photo, it will match better because it fits in with the color palette of the background image that was used.